Not so long ago I've come across Marlon Brando's biography, and it caused me an unpleasant surprise. A known story when during his acting studies he was asked to perform a training study or etude being a chicken when a nuclear bomb was about to fall on it. It is one of the most hideous things to do by a mentor, which totally leads to the system's misconception. Training studies should be performed by students gradually from easy to complicated ones. Students ought to use their own living experience first, but how could they do it, representing a chicken under nuclear bombing? Every single element of the system, be it imagination, action, inner visions, etc., must be taught carefully, must be mastered on different levels, bringing true emotional experience, not representation. You don't start painting Mona Lisa or playing Bach or Mozart in the first instance when learning arts. Actors do not like this word, a study. An inexperienced director will tell something around something and then demand, "Play me a study on how your child was born, and you have to leave for the North Pole in an hour." The actors did not really discuss anything either with each other or with the director, but the director's authority is above all things, and they play any ridiculous study. In this method, it is vital that each minor exercise or study will always have its own super objective and through action, which avoids the main thing, the incorrectness and difficulty of studio studies. A study by itself, for itself, can have neither meaning nor life. In the proposed method, all the studies, even the most minor ones, will once and for all be vitalized from within by a super objective and through action. For our part, we, teachers, watch closely that simple formalism, or called far-fetchedness, is by no means allowed in this work, so that students are not guided by their primitive, amateurish, false techniques, but use their own human practice, human life experience in their creative work. Students who have got the hang of studies, it is no trouble for them to fantasize about a play later when these inventions become necessary for them. That is why we used to work with amateur studies to the last opportunity. It is not about the quantity, but the quality of the studies created. However, I make an important disclaimer. Some teachers get too carried away with the number of studies made, not their quality. It should be kept in mind that only the latter, that is, the quality of this work, and not the number of studies made, is important. Better to make only one study and bring it to the very end than hundreds of them developed only exteriorly, in cursory manner. A study performed to the end leads to real creativity, while working in cursory manner teaches hackworks, bungling. These studies should be very simple in content, feasible for a beginner to embody. Meanwhile, in working with studies, one often has to observe such scenes. Students are offered a complex, fascinating in its storyline study with deaths and horrors. To play such, they need as much time as it takes for a big role. Having worked on such a study for 2 or 3 sessions, students give it up and take on a new, even more complex and difficult one. Students learn to underperform the roles and unwittingly adapt themselves to all kinds of false methods and clichés of a bungle. But besides the imagination development, there is another, no less important benefit in the work of creating and correcting amateur studies. During it, in practice itself, naturally, unnoticeably, the study of the organic nature's creative laws and the psychotechnics devices takes place. After we succeed in achieving such a result, we can begin to study the so-called system itself. Students, brought up and prepared for this work, willingly give themselves up to it. So we gradually come to studies with words created by the students themselves.